So today's job is to get started on painting Flying Scotsman. So I've started going over it with some Scotch Brite, so just sort of roughing up the loose paint area with a Scotch Brite pad just to pull any loose paint off. There's quite a bit in this area where the boiler is overheated, or the boiler wrapper. It's very difficult to get paint to adhere to brass, so I'm giving it a really good keying with some wet and dry paper. I think it's about 400 grit. And I'm also having a really good go at the parts that I've recycled metal from, so because they've got either paint or perhaps some other coatings on it. So I'm having, really getting these very rough. I'm then going to use some etch primer, which has acid in it, so that really digs into the base metal. So again, that helps with the paint sticking to brass. So this is what I've got in lieu of panel white. It's this slow drying degreaser. So I tend to spray it on. I spray it on and then wipe it off with a clean rag, and managed to find the split in the nozzle. Wonderful. So we'll pressurise our container up a little bit, and then we just spray it on basically. I'm just using some shop towel just to wipe off the dirt. It's slightly better than kitchen towel because there's a bit less fibres in it. So that's just cleaning off quite a lot of nasty. So I'm going to get my acid etch primer on this once it's dry. So this is the paint that I've got. It's from Precision Paints. Unfortunately it's a gloss, so I hadn't realised that. So I may have to repaint the whole boiler. So we've got LNER, Darlington Loco Green and Doncaster Loco Green. This is the respirator I use when spraying. It's only good for particulates. It doesn't protect against volatile organic compounds, but I tend to do all my spraying outside, so it's just so I don't inhale any dust really. A quick coat of etch primer. So that's the new cab, all primed up with the U-Pol acid etch 8. So I'm going to I've found some white spray paint, so I'm going to spray the inside of the cab with white paint, and the roof will be this satin black, which goes on quite nicely. I'll brush paint that on, so I've got a nice big flat brush there. Now we're spraying the inside of the cab the white with the white gloss paint. Okay, so I've done some research, and when Mr. Pegler had Flying Scotsman, it was painted in Darlington green, which is the slightly brighter green of the two, and to be fair, much more attractive. Actually, that lighting, it's not quite as bright as that, but it is quite nice and bright. And it's the one on the right in these two. So I've got quite a bit of that, so I think we can go with that. Because it's a gloss and it's not really that great a match on the original colour, I think I'm going to have to repaint the whole loco, which is a shame, but I think, the existing paint is pretty beaten up. So what I'm going to do now is spray a bit of the acid primer into the cap, and then just where I've got bare metal, I'm just going to put some acid primer on that, especially on this chimney, because I think that it's quite a large area, and that should just help the paint stick a bit better, because the acid will actually bite into the metal. I'm just using a very small paintbrush now to apply the acid etch primer, and just touching up anywhere where you can actually see bare metal. pretty much all the bodywork is brass, and as I've said before, brass is quite notorious for getting paint to stick to it. So the etch primer just gives it a bit better chance. And ideally I should have done the tender at the same time as this, but I didn't think about that. So you'll see me do this again on the tender later on in the video. It doesn't really show up that much, but the inside of the cab is now gloss white. What I'll do is I'll let that harden off overnight, and then before I paint the sides, I think I'll take the rails off. It's just going to make it a lot easier. So now I'm going to paint the roof of the cab and touch up the black on the loco with this satin black. It's a high temperature engine enamel from Halfords. The engine enamel's really nice to apply with this really wide brush, getting a very nice thin even layer, and finding with this brush I can get the edges very crisp and not sort of blob paint everywhere. So I'm pretty pleased with that. And once I've finished the roof, I'll move on to the loco to touch up all the black. Generally looks a lot better. I did miss a bit there, but we'll see. We'll get the boiler painted and the sides of the cab painted green next, I think. I'm now removing the handrails from the cab. These are at the 8BA bolt nuts on the back. Obviously they've got spray paint on them now, so they're a bit difficult. So I should have really done this before I sprayed up the interior. But they're coming off okay with the little mini socket. And yeah, so we'll get these all off. Bagging them up separately so left and right don't get mixed up, because there's bound to be very slight differences in the sizes. Now I've got some more of the etch primer in sprayed into the cap. I'm just going touching up any bare metal on the tendon. After a bit of scotching over the existing paint, it's now time to go in with the green finally. Okay, that's the first coat on. As you can see, it is a very high gloss. I hope it's going to look all right. I'll have to see. It is the correct colour. So I'm going to turn that round and do the other side, and then I'll paint the tender. So where I've had to prime, the coverage hasn't been that great, so I will need to touch up in a few places. If you can see, you can still see a bit of grey through there, but I'm trying not to put too thick a coat on, because I don't want drips, and I kind of want to keep some of the age so you can see the bumps and dents and so on. So that, you know, this isn't a shiny new loco, this is a quite, well, probably older than me loco. Okay, that's the left hand side painted. It's looking quite nice now, quite pleased with that. So I've laid the tender down, so again to help prevent runs. It's a bit easier to paint when it's flat as well, so that helps. Okay, so that's everything painted green now. I think I will need definitely need another coat on the cab. So I've off camera I've added another coat of paint to all the green, which is not shown here, but basically because the video is getting too long. But I hope you'll see the results in the next scene. So finishing touches on the paint. I'm using a silver acrylic paint just to touch up the handrails. and obviously paint the rails for the cab. So I've just mounted them on a bit of foam just to make it a bit easier to handle. So they're all painted up. So we'll let those dry off, and then we can fit them to the cab, and then fit the cab to the Loco. I'll need to let this dry off for a few days now, so I'll end this video here. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the colour in the comments. Love to receive comments. I always answer them, even the rude ones. So yeah, look forward to hearing from you.